What's going on, everybody? Back here with Steven Billings, and we are going to check in since it's been a couple weeks. The fervor has died down a little bit around self shelf shock, and yeah, we had a lot of people that were asking about what we were going to do, like with the stats, if they were ever going to find out who got second place. Tonight's the night, but I feel weird not seeing you every single day, Steven. What's been going on with you?
Yeah, I've changed. My whole life's changed since then. I made a ton of dough off of this award show. People sending me money. Instead of sharing it with you, I just took a vacation to the Bahamas and
Must be nice.
a lot of drugs. I'm
A lot of
back.
drugs.
A lot. I'm back. But
Good to know.
yeah, let's do this. What happened? What did we do at the show? I don't even remember.
Well, it's been forever ages long ago. It feels like
It
miraculously.
does. It really does.
I don't understand how it's only been, what, 2.5 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, like it's only been a couple weeks since we did it, and it feels like the whole experience of the months of planning is like a distant memory of sorts. Like it just, yeah, because it was just such a build up to that night, and a lot. We both just were excited but anxious because we wanted to see how you guys felt about it, and I think overall for the most part we seemed to people seem to enjoy it. And we're going to get into all that tonight. The good things, the bad things, the things, talking maybe about a little bit about what we could do differently next year, go over some of the stats, as you said. Yeah. So, and you guys, please ask us anything you want to know, and we'll do our best to answer that.
I got a bunch of questions from the Discord ready. That is one of the secret ways to get involved with more of this is by joining that Patreon. But we're going to go over some stats, and I figured it would be nice to start with some stats and then go into some of the process, what happened, go back to some other stats, and then we'll go into like full-on recap. So I sent Steven an email with some general stats for the whole thing, and we're gonna talk about, first of all, how the CSE came together, which I've gotten a lot of questions about this. And it's hard because we had a few people that told us they'll do it, but they don't want to be like publicly known that they're doing it, just in case there's a view as like a conflict of interest thing, because they could vote for somebody else's or their own and make it look like, hey, they're promoting their own thing. And which I completely get. So we're not gonna share names or anything like that. But we will say, we, at one point, had more than 50 people signed up for the CSC. It was around 55-ish. And then based on how busy people got, I think we ended up just a couple shy of 50.
Yeah, I think it was like 47, 48 by the end. And yeah, I mean, it's also, for a lot of people, even though they were enthusiastic, I had some people that were very enthusiastic about it.
Yep.
And, but, people get busy. It's a first year of doing something. No trivia prizes tonight. We gave away a lot of shit on that, more than we got to the night and we realized we had to do 9. Ryan literally came up with these questions like the day of, like for the show. Like that
was a busy weekend.
It was a busy day of, like, for Ryan, especially Ryan. Yeah. So, some people, I got a lot of people supporting it, but when it came down to it, I think either some people maybe were more positive, they were more excited about it than they were ready to be involved. And because they didn't really know how things were going to go, they probably kind of like backed out of it without saying they were going to back out of it. So they just didn't answer anything anymore. And that's fine. It's fine. We knew that the first year was going to be a learning experience. We knew it was going to be a little bit of a struggle, not only to get people on board with taking it seriously, but also, just to get the involvement. So yeah.
The fact that we had so many people in there was intimidating for sure that night, but it was wonderful to see the community show up for that. So the CSE itself, we're going to talk about how they came to the decisions, because one of the questions that I got in the Discord that I sent over to you, I love the way it was worded. It was basically, I'd be curious to learn more about how the committee arrived at their final nominees and what discussions were had. So,
not quite how it went down. The thing is we don't really want there to be discussions, because then people make plans, and then my cat knocks over my light. It makes noise. But yeah, plans get made. We don't want that to happen. We want everybody to have an opinion that's solely theirs. And so, there might have been people that knew, because they're friends or something, that knew that they were CSC members.
Yep.
But I think I would say that the people that were involved were all very much they had their own sole opinion. They're not out asking people like, "What'd you do? What'd you?" They're not sharing things. So, we there was no like big meeting off during some secret meeting we all had and said, "Okay, what should we nominate?" It
Right.
wasn't like that. It was everybody doing their homework, watching things in their own time and coming to their own conclusions and sending us their submissions. No us twisting their arms. No back deal money things going on where we told them we really want Second Sight to win all these awards, and then even though we have no ties to them at all,
Right.
and then like get whatever, like it was all just people's tastes. And we can get more into later. We'll get more into like the idea, like maybe like ways we can improve that whole process later.
For sure.
But yeah. So
And I did answer this one, and this is the only one I answered in the Discord, but I'm going to read it word for word just so people have the actual response here. And all I said was this one is not super interesting, as everyone was basically given a blank ballot for every single category, and they were told to give at least 3 responses for every category. And then all I did was compile the results, and the top 5 for each one, those were the nominees. Based on schedules, a discussion was never going to be possible. Like, it was hard for Steven and I to get discussions going. 49 people at a time would have been non-existent ever.
Yeah. And it's, the hard enough thing. It was hard enough just to make sure we could get people to confirm that they had the emails that we sent them about information they needed to know. So, that's one thing we're probably going to talk about improving is the communication with our members. And, I think also just a discussion of, I think that after 1 year, people kind of understand, members that are going to come back next year have a better understanding of what's expected. And so they can spend this next year kind of being more ready for their voting experience next year. And I think that's going to make next year's show even better, so.
Terry says, could you have imagined the Zoom call?
hey guys, hey. It's just like echoes. Hey.
Who's holding the talking bear at the moment? So yeah, that one's not super interesting. I did love the response I got from it though. He said, I assumed it was fairly straightforward, but in my head, you all convened in roundtable fashion and debated painstakingly.
Yeah, we did. I mean, look, if it did come down to it, yeah, we would have never gotten nominees put out. We would have all been arguing about it. And yeah, I mean, it's best. I think it's best done, the fairest way, and the is to let everybody just have their own opinion, and like you said, Ryan, just compile the data. And I think the biggest thing that will make next year's better, other than them being able to be more prepared, and is that also maybe whatever members we add can help expand the kind of masking over how many labels get represented next year.
Right.
Because I know that's one of the things that I've heard the most kind of negativeness about. It's just been who didn't get nominated, and certain labels didn't get nominated at all.
Yeah.
So,
and that's not really our place to differentiate the types of labels, which is where it got difficult. Because where do you call a label a small label or a mid-size label or a large label? And then if we started to do that, there would be 50 categories of awards all of a sudden, because we'd have to give every single category 3 different awards depending on the size of the label that they volunteer for. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, me and Ryan went back and forth, and we ended up with the 25 categories, and we had other ideas for categories that could have lengthened this and maybe shine some more light on some other labels. And that's something we might still discuss in the off season, as I'll call it. But for now, I think what we had on the table was pretty solid. And it's just a matter of the CSC members maybe just investing a little more time in what they watched this year and kind of, just doing their due diligence for their voting next year so that they can be more educated. It was us contacting them and then telling them within a few weeks to contribute, and that's tough. That's tough. That's not everybody is paying attention. And even the people that were involved in labels that contributed, they're busy doing their own work. They're not looking at all the other labels and being able to say that they've seen a lot. And so that's tough. It's tough. That's why we got to get more members, so.
Yep. I would agree there. We got a couple questions that we're going to get answered from the chat, and then we're going to go start on the first round of stats.
Okay.
So the first one that I wanted to go shout out, other than saying hello to everybody again, wow, that was a long time ago. So many comments already. Eric, how can you better account for December releases next year? This is something that we debated to freaking death. So the hard part here, the timing of it, we needed people to be able to start voting around December 15th. And obviously, that's not a lot of time to watch stuff that is coming out still, especially if the release date isn't until December 22nd or something.
Yeah.
And that's why we went with the month-long voting window and gave us till January 15th. Now, the hard part is the people that were nominating on the CSC, they were nominating a few weeks before that. So there were Black Friday titles that they never even saw announced from other labels that they had no idea was coming. There was stuff that maybe they kept secret because they didn't trust us. They didn't want to put it on a ballot and go, oh, this is coming out. I will say some people did, and it was nice to see like Four Flies on Gray Velvet get nominated before anybody knew about it. However, it's difficult. There's a lot to do here, and this is, if you have an idea of how we could fix this, we're going to be full on taking notes in just a little bit. This is the best that we came up with. If you got something else that might help, let us know in just a little while. Let's see. Next one. Just a question, but did you think about combining the CSC with the community vote just to pick one winner for each? Now, I think this one falls all on me. I am the one that really petitioned for this to be the case, for us to have a creators vote and a community vote. And the reason is there are a couple smaller organizations that have tried to do this before where they have their community vote for it. And it turns out that sometimes they do really good on some categories, and then other times a vote looks ridiculous just because it's somebody's favorite movie or something got a little more attention. No offense to a label like, I'm not going to name names, but if they're known for poor quality, but it's a title that people have wanted for a long time, and it came out with a terrible restoration, and people are just excited that they got it, I would feel terrible putting my name on something where that is the winner if it's honestly a piece of crap release. And so that's one of the reasons that we said, if we have the creators able to pick and the community, at least there is a reason for each side having a winner, and it will lead to perhaps like a little more integrity behind it, a little more meaning. You got an opinion on that you wanted to throw out there?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, not only, I understand Ryan's point of view with that, and I kind of agree with him with that. I think sometimes, if you're trying to get, not only we're trying to get winners that we can be proud of, but we're also trying to broaden the spectrum of, what needs to get attention. So having the two winner system, not only does it give a diversity in winners, but it also, it just kind of, like you said, it was interesting to compare.
Yep.
What the group of people that came up with the nominees thought they're the winners, and then the whole rest of the community, which made up of more votes than they did, and what they thought was the winner. And it's a little bit of an experiment there. And I don't find it to be anything that was a detriment to anything. I think, if you're worried that having two votes devalues the award, I don't think that. I honestly don't agree with that. I think it's something where there's it's already a subjective thing as it is. So does it really? I mean, there's no need to make it more definitive. It's okay to have two winners for the same category, and it helps solve the problem of having more diversity overall in general. So it just, and
Yeah.
with write-ins as well, we don't want to forget about that. There's opportunities for anybody to win, and there could have been a write-in that won, and they didn't. There were some good ones, but they didn't. So
And we'll get into that, how close some of them were, because
yeah,
there were some, and we actually got a question about this on the Discord today. There were some that genuinely made a run for it that could have almost gotten there but didn't quite. The aspect of this that I wanted to touch on, though, is that I think it worked for us for two different reasons. Is one, in many categories, we were able to get people excited about two different releases, which to me, that's a win-win every day of the week. But
definitely.
then on the other side, when it was the same winner, that felt stronger to me.
Yeah.
Everyone thought this was the best of the best.
Yeah, it
That's
was like
a big
it was
deal.
like the winner, and then you had the confirmation on the winner.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I could see how people might not love that, but it worked for the most part, in my opinion, at least.
And it also creates some interesting debates because, for instance, there was also a weirdness to where we had I think it was best, our two best overall releases. We had Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I believe was the community vote, and then Drive was the CSC vote. But then if you go to the Region A winner, it was different than your best overall Region A. So it's there becomes interesting debates. And it also, but what it did was show that people had a tough time deciding on what their favorite thing was last year. And some people just made the decision that they wanted to make sure that this other movie got in there, and that's fine. That's what the community wanted to do. It has a mind of its own. And that's good to see that they had a tough time. So
I agree. And I kind of figured while we were talking about this, maybe we should have a very easy to read list of all the winners. So I'm going to throw that up on the screen while we discuss this next part, which is all of some of the stats. And I know that there's a couple more questions left. We'll get back to some of these for sure. This is, before I start the stats, I wanted to do DCs real quick. Trouble is, within this community, most of us expect what's going to get nominated and possibly win. Perhaps if there was a rule where labels could only have one representative per category, that could be a good rule. However, I will say, in more times than not, they actually started to cancel each other out.
Yeah. And who chooses how many labels get represented? I mean, that's a lot of labels to represent it. We're looking at 100 nominees. For it's it gets crazy. So we don't want to put limitations where they don't need to be. I think we need to make sure we allow for the openness to happen organically. We need it to be organic. We need the honestly, it starts with the CSC. We got it. We're going to work on that. I think it starts with them.
Yeah.
It starts with diversifying that and getting more education in that, getting them more prepared, and then we can have better results in the nominees next year. So
let's go through some of the stats. First, we're going to be talking about the CSC vote. This whole first group will all be CSC. If you got questions on each of these, let us know. I only put very specific qualitative numbers if it made sense to. It wasn't ever really something that was amazingly important unless I listed it. The first one, we kind of just talked about it, is on this one. People were surprised that Vampire won. And as it turns out, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Gold Diggers of 1933, they both split the vote pretty much for Warner Archive. And people were shocked that Warner Archive didn't get this one on either side. I will say this is one of the categories where one of the write-ins almost was able to take it because the 4K of the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari got very close. Very close.
And that was one of the later ones that wasn't in there when the CSC were voting. So that once again, we're telling you right there with the stats there alone that you have power with your write-ins. You just if you're out there and you really want something to win, you can do your own little campaign and say, hey, we want this to win. Please vote for this. We don't represent it. You do what you want. I was over here representing Out of the Blue all the time saying, hey, vote for Out of Blue. What happens? It wins a lot of things, and that's not me tweaking anything, guys. And don't think that behind the scenes I'm tweaking something because that's bullshit. Don't even think that because I don't make any money. I don't work for them. That's something I love. And I just, shouted it to the rooftops, and it won stuff. I mean, you guys can do the same thing.
I love this comment from Tom. He says, based on how we did the voting, it's kind of like the Academy Awards and the People's Choice all in one. And I love that. That is an incredible way to put it. That's like exactly what we were going for.
Yeah.
Hey, Aaron West is here. What's going on, Aaron?
Aaron West.
So next little fun stat is that on the CSC side, Everything Everywhere All at Once barely beat out the Batman and Top Gun Maverick. I think it was 2 votes.
Yeah.
2 votes. That's it. So it was very close to not being the winner on the CSC side.
Yeah, I mean, people don't understand. There was a lot of close stuff. There was some that ran away, definitely, but there was a lot of close stuff. There was some. We'll get into it. We had to break some ties.
There was a couple. Yeah.
Yeah. So
on the best new label side, CIP won for the CSC side by a single vote.
Yeah.
1 vote is what happened. They beat Deaf Crocodile by 1 vote, and then on the community winner side, they weren't too far behind, but it was certainly a little wider of a margin than 1 vote. It was neck and neck for a while on the CSC side. Next up, I just wanted to share the second place for best audio and video. Dune was second place for best audio, and Drive was second place for best video presentation. Not really super surprising there. No. Nothing that stuck out as a, hey, everybody needs to hear about this stat, unfortunately, with these couple. Next up was Out of the Blue, almost doubled the vote of Lost Highway and Thriller for both best home video restoration upgrade on the creator side. So not only did it win, it won handily. It won by almost a fully double the vote over those other 2. And this is one where you notice it was a completely different winner on the community side. And that could be, I'm not saying this is a good thing or a bad thing, but it could be that people are just Vinegar Syndrome fans and they said, oh, Thriller was great. We all got Thriller because we're subscribers. Let's vote for that one. Yeah. But I know for sure that Out of the Blue was bought by way less people than Thriller.
Yeah, and like any award show, there is semblances of it's a popularity contest. It's what's popular and what people like. I mean, it's not always, unfortunately, about what's actually the best thing, but that's hard to quantify. It's hard to quantify in something we're only giving 2 awards to. So things don't get left out. We hate it. We wish we could give everybody an award, but it doesn't. Then it becomes not an award show. So
it's a participation trophy.
Yeah, it becomes a participation show. Yay, you did it. You made something. And we already do that all year round with our shows. So
next one. This is one people were like, oh yeah, of course WALL-E won for best animated film release. No surprise there. Yeah. However, it only beat the Heavy Metal 4K disc by a single vote on the creator side, which is wild. The fact that studio disc almost won against a Criterion is insanity.
It is. And when I just the fact that when that release came out, it was such a kind of we were all blinded by it. Yeah. We're like, how in the hell did that happen? So we knew it was a popular, just because it's one of them things where it's like, even if you didn't buy the disc, you'd be like, okay, that's the choice.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do think a lot of people probably did that, sadly.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's all right.
Yeah.
Best packaging. This is one that I know since Jeremy's watching, he's going to love this. On the creator selection side, when we were voting for the winners, the Ghostbusters trap set got multiple votes. It wasn't close to winning, but I know that this is one that is difficult because it was very limited. It sold out on pre-order, and it still made such an impact that multiple people said, dude, this is easily the best packaging of the entire year.
Yeah.
I love that it got voted.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the type of minds that are behind this. Some people, the people that are in the CSC, not everybody probably bought that thing. A lot of us might, like me, like sometimes I'm not really into the big whole, gimmicky kind of like all the little mixing toys and things. That doesn't excite me. So I didn't get it and I didn't vote for it. But that doesn't mean it's not worth it. It's just, I don't think it was in a lot of people's radars on the CSC. Like I said, we'll help try to improve that diversity, but not everything's going to get nominated. So it's just how it is.
That is very true. Next one is the best visual essay, and Amanda Reyes and Chris O'Neill won this one for Out of the Blue. Kat Ellinger's essay on Nastasia Kinski from the imprint release that she did for, oh gosh, what is the title of that one? I don't have it in front of me. I don't even remember what title it was. That lost by one vote again. Single vote. And that's, I only really highlight the single vote and double vote things because it really shows how important voting in these are. There are so many people that said, I'm not going to vote because I've only seen, half of the releases.
Yeah.
You didn't have to vote for every single category, and your one vote could have catapulted something to the win.
Yeah. I think that's, like I said, I mean, I think that now that 1 year has gone by, we can hopefully better educate our members to understand that, that the one vote can matter, like that the one submission can matter, and yeah.
And then there's other times when it doesn't really matter at all, which this one is insane. So the next one is the best interview. The John Waters interview on Pink Flamingos on the CSC side, it beat the interview from Drive, the interview from Alligator, and the interview for Righting Wrongs with Cynthia Rothrock. If you combined all three of their vote totals.
Wow.
That Pink Flamingos interview got so many of the votes. It was insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not really. I mean, that was a stacked category, and it would have been. Honestly, I would have thought it would have been closer. Especially with that Alligator interview with Bryan Cranston. I thought that would be closer, but damn, if John Waters didn't just blow it out of the water, that really, with that interview. So that's great, man. I was glad to see Pink Flamingos get love during the show. So.
It did multiple times. Yeah, definitely a good thing to see. Next is martial arts. And this one, I was kind of shocked. This one was close as well. Shawscope Volume 2 on the CSC side beat the Police Story 4K trilogy by a single vote. And in a year that's had really great martial arts releases, that is really impressive for Police Story to almost take that.
Yeah. Martial arts and horror are two categories that, where you got tons of options, and, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to, and you want to give love to as many things, but, once again, it's a popularity thing. And I think that Shawscope just had just a little bit more oomph because it had Volume 1 last year. And I think that the anticipation for Volume 2, even though it hadn't even really come out yet by the time nomination, it was just kind of a slam dunk almost in a way. But I'm surprised it was that close. Yeah.
Me too. Next is best commentary, and the Kat Ellinger commentary on the CSC side, it had 48% of the overall vote. And then the next highest total was 15%. And we had a couple titles with around that. So this was a pretty hearty win for Kat Ellinger.
Yeah. Yeah, she's she's just such an amazing voice in our community, and I'm glad to see that she won, and that just, I'm not going to sit here and do it again. I love Out of the Blue. I'm glad it won. but it's commentaries are one of the tough categories, I think, for anybody to vote on, because it takes you having to have gotten the release and watch the whole.
Spend a lot of time with it.
Spend a lot of time with it. You watch the movie at least maybe once, and then you've decided, now I'm going to watch it with somebody talking over it. So it's not an easy category for us to compile nominations for, but I think there was pretty decent little group there, I think. And, it was just a night for Out of the Blue. People liked Out of the Blue more than we thought. So,
which is why we had the people that were involved in the restoration highlighted in the show so much, because it was a big deal. And I wouldn't be surprised if something like that didn't take the show as much as that did this year, because that's a really rare thing.
Yeah.
So this next one, best annual slate. This was kind of a controversial one when we were talking about this, when we were setting up categories, because Steven was not necessarily agreeing that this should be talked about. And one thing that I wanted to highlight is that we should be talking about the movies as well as all of the physical side of things. And the annual slate, first of all, it's very hard to quantify. Now,
Yeah.
when you're looking at something like Vinegar Syndrome, who won, that puts out at least 3 titles every single month, and sometimes it's as many as like 6 or 7 movies. God, in May,
Yeah.
they're releasing a 10 film box set. Like, this is not something that is easy to compare to something like Mondo Macabro, who puts out maybe 12 a year, or Second Sight, who puts out like 8 a year. So it was interesting to see the way that this kind of leveled out at the end. So Vinegar Syndrome did get first place. And I thought this one, the most interesting one to share would be Severin got second place, and Second Sight got third place on the creator side. Now, kind of surprising. Like we said, hard to quantify.
Yeah.
Severin doesn't do as many releases as Vinegar Syndrome. Second Sight doesn't even do half as many releases as Severin, and yet they still all got a ton of votes.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I got a comment on. I don't know if you saw this comment. It was on my stream of the YouTube channel of the live event, that it was a travesty that label like Kino didn't get nominated in this category. And we can't disagree with that. That's not, Kino puts out a lot of good stuff, and they put out it in large quantities. So they just just every day it just feels like there's more great Kino coming out, but it didn't get nominated in the category. And I understand if people are upset about that. We do keep reminding people that you can write in and vote. Like, it's as easy as that. I don't understand. I think people tend to, like, for some reason, look at the nominees as being their only choices for some reason. And we tell it every time we talk about it. You can write in in your own vote. And it's like, because they don't think that anybody else is going to do it, they get discouraged by it. And then they just don't do it because they don't think it's going to matter. But I'm telling you, if you all just stick to your guns and vote for what you want, it can win. But our debate over this category was more about our definition of this category was more about defining the idea of what is best annual slate versus what I like to compare it to, which was, because for me, on a personal level, when I thought about best annual slate, I also looked at it as kind of saying, what is my favorite label for the year? Because to me, if we're looking at all these elements that make up what's the best annual slate, that also kind of counts to me as what's probably my favorite label this year. And, that's a debate you can have, and that's fine. You have to decide on why you like something and you don't like something. But, I understand that people got upset that certain labels weren't represented in this category. And like I said, sometimes with this stuff, it's becomes a popularity vote, and Vinegar Syndrome's got a wide net. People love that label. They know how to market themselves. They know how to keep the community involved, and they won because of that how they do their label. I mean, that's some people don't have the ability to, do that, but they do. And that's just how it goes this year. So maybe next year, when you get another crop of annual slate nominees, you can, if they don't have your favorite on there, please just write it in. Don't cry at us. Write it in.
And that's why on the community side, we have a different idea for annual slate and favorite label, because I had to share, like, I have a favorite label, but I don't think that they put out the best films last year. I think, honestly, I agree with Dan Skip Allen here, said Criterion should have won best annual slate. My opinion, I fully agree.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about, like, and this is where it's tough, is like we're all going to define what makes the best annual slate of the year. Like, I think about, when I'm thinking, if I'm choosing best annual slate, I'm thinking about what group of films did I think were the best group of films that a label put out last year, no matter what the quantity was. And so, because that's how but that's also how I think about what was my favorite label last year.
Right.
So that's what's tough about it, because I'm focusing on the movies when it comes to my collecting in general. So that's how I think about it. So it's a tough correlation to have, something that can be probably continue to be debated going forward, but
forever.
Forever. We're going to have this debate for every year of the show. But I think next year, if people can understand that vote's going to matter, the more we can beat it into you, the more maybe you'll write in more. Please make Ryan have to count all these little votes. Make them work, guys. Make them sweat.
So best booklet, there was nothing super interesting about this one. Best horror release, though. So this one was super interesting because on the creator side, The Witch won, but it only won by one vote over both Alligator and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It was literally a single vote more.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's once again another interesting vote because what one. I mean, well, you said that's the CSC vote, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess in this case, it makes sense because the community voted Texas Chainsaw Massacre to win best overall release, but it didn't win the horror release from CSC. So these are interesting things to look at, guys. Don't be upset. Look at how interesting the thought processes are and what's winning where, and it's. I think I haven't looked at it too closely yet, but it seems like I will say that there seems to be more, I believe, repeat winners in the community more than there is in the CSC. I believe there's a little bit more diversity there in the winners than there is in the community. So though you're upset at our nominee selection, you guys voted a lot of the same things to win a lot. So, don't be too mad at us.
Next one, best box set. So After Dark Neo Noir Collection Volume 1 and Severan's House of Psychotic Women were neck and neck the entire voting time for the CSC until the final day when After Dark took it. It was wild. I could not call who was going to win that one the entire time that voting was open. It was crazy.
Yeah, and we even, God, the damn second volume of that set didn't even make it in, guys. Why aren't you guys angry about that? Why didn't that second volume get in? We should have had 2 Neo Noir box sets in the box set.
So it can split the vote.
Yeah, so it could split. And the 2 winners of the 2 different winners are, it should have been like that. I'm surprised nobody got upset about that. But, box set's another one. It's just super hard. We could just do a best Severin box set of the year, and could have had 5 nominations just on Severin's. 5 nominations on Arrows. We could have, it's tough, man. But
Dan Skip Allen has a comment that says, I think what gets lost in all this is that not everyone can afford a lot of this stuff. And unfortunately, when you're talking about an award show to celebrate it, that it's not going to get lost. It's just not a part of the award show. However, I do think both of us really kind of cover that on each of our channels a lot. We give the accessibility speech to everybody about using your public library, buying what you can, what's within your means, and not feeling like you have to buy everything.
Well, I mean, look, as a viewer, you shouldn't look at the fact that you haven't seen something or experienced something as us telling you that you're doing wrong and you're missing out and you're not doing the right thing as a viewer, as a collector of your movies. You're not buying the right thing. We're not telling you that by what comes on the, what's been nominated or what's been, just like the Academy Awards. People shouldn't get upset that movies they haven't seen are getting nominated. They should look at that as an opportunity to maybe check into something else they haven't heard about or haven't gotten a chance to get around to. We're not telling you should rush out and you should watch this to make sure you vote for this. We're just telling you that these are things that we think are nice. Don't take offense to it, but these are what we think did really well last year, and these are what we want to honor, and it's about honor. When we get so caught up in who's the winner, we're forgetting that it's about celebration. It's a celebration, guys. It's not a competition necessarily. I don't look at it. It is, but it isn't. It should be fun. It should be a way for us to celebrate physical media and a way for us to talk about some of our favorite releases. Unfortunately, they don't all get talked about, but then again, we talk about it all year all the time. It always gets talked about. Yeah. In groups, in podcasts, we do it all year.
The next couple just kind of wanted to share second place votes. There wasn't anything amazing for this. Best artwork, Shaft got second place, which I thought was pretty cool because I think that release got overlooked a lot last year. Best Region B title on the creator side, The Warriors from Imprint got second place, which I get that was a sought out title for a long time, but still kind of surprised that it got second place with so many great stuff that came out of Region B. Let's see. What is next after that? Oh, yeah. Best Region A. So second place on this one, Thriller and the House of Psychotic Women box set. Those both tied for second place under Best Region A release. And then finally, this is one that I think, especially Flickering Waves is going to appreciate this. Is on the creator side, the second place winner for best overall release for the year is the Ray Dennis Steckler box set.
Yeah, that's one I was very surprised that. I mean, I love the release, but that's just a super obscure thing like that. I don't know that people were very aware of when it got announced, and then it quickly kind of like, took everybody by. People were buying it, people loved it, and I think people just got really endeared to some of the films in that set, and just the of course the packaging and just everything about that set was really fantastic. So yeah, I mean, still, I mean, I'm honestly surprised that one got the love over some of the other sets.
Yep.
That could have been nominated, but
I think Steven's going to have a nice point about this one. Anthony says, honest question, has the idea been floated about a category for adult film titles? Are there not enough boutiques in that game to think about it?
Yeah, I think I was the one that floated this to you. I brought it up at one point that, maybe we do a category for adult films. And then Ryan came back at me and was like, well, then we're only nominating a few labels. Like there's only like a few labels that kind of, release adult titles, Vinegar Syndrome.
I think my exact response was, as much as the nominees would be, this would only turn up to be a Vinegar Syndrome circle jerk.
It would. Yeah, essentially, yeah. I mean, it's already kind of the most popular label, so then they would just. It's like for the longest time in the Academy Awards, when every time then an animation award came up, you're like, okay, so I guess the Pixar movie is going to win again. Like every year, and I feel like that's probably how it's going to be. That there are a few other labels that do put out adult titles, but it typically the most work that's done on them titles is done by Vinegar Syndrome. They put a lot of work into them, more than anybody else is willing to. So, I mean, yeah.
John has a good question for you, Steven. How about best merch category next year?
That was another one. As another category we talked about. We talked. It was one that kind of got dropped. We'd gotten up to around 30, I think, categories, and then we realized as we got closer, I was like, maybe we should drop a few. And we started debating back and forth on a few different things, and so that was one thing where we were talking about a category where it was like.
Do you remember what we called this one? I think it was best bundle or something. Best bundle items or something like that.
Yeah, it was like best, extra merch items or something like that, something in that realm, where releases where they add like the little extra bits of fun things, like when Severin has the pins or the masks that they do. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, but then again, once again, that's another situation where very few labels can afford to do that. I think you got like Umbrella, who sometimes throws a little bit of extra swag in there. Arrow does essentially the same swag every time they do a box set. They have a poster. That's not something we're talking about here. We're talking about extra stuff. So There's not a lot of competition there. So,
which if any label is watching this, which they're probably not, step it up. Step it up. I would love to see some of these smaller labels go crazy. Oh, and that's another one. We're talking about smaller labels. Last year, I kind of think this would be won heartily by Air 444.
Yeah.
Was that 4 4s or 3? I don't know. Either way, the stuff that they did last year was ridiculous. Like, you bought 2 movies and it came in like a box, and there was so much stuff with it. It was wild. And yeah, we already had 25 solid categories, and to go with more would have made it unwieldy. And we already went, what was it, 2.5 hours?
I think, yeah, 2.5 hours. We're not, of course there's different time zones, so we're trying to be wary of the idea that there's people maybe all around the world that want to watch this live. And so the longer we make it, the longer it makes them have to either stay up at a weird hour. So yeah, I mean, that's things we're thinking about when we're doing this live show. Yeah, I mean, I think that right around 3 hours, we were both guessing probably between 2.5 to 3 hours, and we were right in there. It was, and I think it worked out good. It could even be a little tighter, but I think with the ideas for next year, it might be a little longer. I think we both probably are looking at this as being maybe in the 3-hour range next year. So
As long as you keep doing it.
yeah.
Let's go over a couple more of these questions then. We got one that says, any ties, any surprises? Is there something about the write-in votes that was interesting? So obviously we're going to talk about the ties and the write-in votes as we go through some of the stats. What were some of your biggest surprises?
Oh man, you're putting me. That's tough, man. I don't honestly. I mean, we kind of talked about that after the show, right after the show, and you know, I don't know, man. I don't really. I guess Lost Highways being best visual presentation for
Yep.
you know, the community was kind of an interesting choice. I mean, I know that people love that film and everything, but you know, I don't know. It just did. Out of all the choices they could have picked, I just felt like there were maybe some more impressive choices. But you know, it's because I feel like that movie falls more in the home restoration upgrade area. You know, like I feel like they did, you know, really grade that film to make it look great. But is it the best video presentation? I don't know. I mean, I don't have the release.
Yeah.
I've seen some clips, but I don't know. It just seemed like some of the ones that I had that were nominees were pretty impressive, and I guess people just really liked that one. I don't know.
I think my two biggest that were surprises were that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 won so much. I've got nothing against the release. I think that it's an incredible release, but I'm honestly surprised that either so many people loved the release because they are Vinegar Syndrome subs or they're giant fans of Vinegar Syndrome. I was just surprised that so many people voted for something that we all seem to complain about, which is 4K re-releases.
Yeah.
The fact that that's happening so much and everybody voted for that to win is crazy. And then the other big thing, I loved when we got the original announcement for Cloak and Dagger for the VSU, the way the packaging looked. I thought the art was great. And then all kinds of people voted for it, even after the whole community shat all over that announcement for like 3 weeks straight. So, yeah, I was glad that in the end, it seems like people enjoyed that one. But I wish people were more open to it when it first got announced.
Yeah. It's, I guess time healed the wounds of that one, I guess. You know, people came around to it and they're like, you know what? It actually was pretty awesome. So, yeah, it's good.
All right. Let's go through one or two more questions. We've got, what was the biggest hurdle you found that you'd want to try and overcome the next time around?
Well, Ryan, I know one thing that just throughout the show was just pissing you off was the transitions between videos.
Yeah, that was probably the hardest thing about doing it live, which is another one of the questions that we got is what was the hardest thing? And when you are dealing with the confines of the software that we used, if you didn't click at the perfect time, it would just show our stunned faces in between video clips, which is not always great when we're sitting there going, which thing do we click on?
Hey. You know, we were like, I would be like messing with something on the, you know, my cat's bothering me. I'm trying to shoo them away, or like I'm picking my, you know, like I you know, any amount. I mean, it made for some good comedy, I think, sometimes. But essentially, we would much rather there be smoother transitions because, you know, the way that the software works, they're kind of all broken up into different videos. You know, of course, our you know, presenters had to send us videos, so they're their own separate things. And it just, you know, we're going to maybe work on maybe a better way to do that. I don't know. We'll have to brainstorm about it, but I'm sure that'll improve for next year. So
the other thing is I will give myself more time to work on those videos that get sent to us so that the audio levels are all the same.
Well, there is that too. But that's, I mean, like we said, I mean, we this is why the voting has to happen when it happens, because so much has to get done in such a small amount of time. Unless we want to do the award show in March, if we want to wait 3 months into the new year to do the award show, because we don't have a team of people behind us doing all this work. It's me and Ryan doing all this legwork. Now, of course, you could say, hey, why don't you recruit some more people? Well, maybe we will. Maybe we can talk about that. But the more people we involve, the more people we have to depend on to get this work done. And we all this is a hobby. This is something we're doing out of the love, you know, and not everybody loves it as much as we love it because we're the ones that started it. So it's going to take some of us maybe letting go a little bit. Maybe we can get somebody else involved. Maybe we can get somebody else involved to run the video stuff so that Ryan doesn't have to do it and be the host. You know, like that would probably help you a bunch, just being able to talk and not have to like, okay, let me switch to the next video. And like, that's the thing. Ryan was the superstar of that whole thing because he was doing all the transitions, asking the questions. I was just the guy that was like, haha, like I'm here too, so he did all, I was maybe the comic relief sorts of the two, and that's it.
Stefano says all the presenters should be live. We did kick that around, and we talked about trying to do it, but there was, unless we ended up paying, and I don't even think I told Steven this part because it was just never a reality. I could have paid, I think it was like $350 a month for the software that we used. Yeah. And then it would allow us to have a green room where we could have up to 10 people prepared to be brought in. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Well, not even just that, but of course the idea that everybody was going to be available at the time that we did the show.
Right.
So that, you got to think about that. Once again, first year of doing this. And then we're trying to get people within, people that are busy people, that were, contributors. You got your Nathaniel Thompson, like people that are really busy all the time to try to be involved in this. But it's not going to be easy to get them all to come and do it live.
Right.
It would be fun. That would be really fun, but it's not really feasible at this point. Maybe if one day this gets big enough that where we do it live in an auditorium somewhere and it's like a big thing and we can fly people in. And if it ever gets to that point, then maybe, but at this point we're just asking, for a little bit, it gives them a chance to really prepare and do it in a really nice way. And, we got some really nice videos sent to us to do these presentations, and might not have been nearly as good as that if it was live. So I think, the live doing it pre-recorded really helped make sure that what they wanted to say got out there, and yeah,
it allowed for personality. That's the biggest thing.
And then the other thing too is internet. Like say they come in and their internet sucks. What if that then you hear and it's like all jumpy? That would have happened. You would have heard nothing he said. But now you're just dependent on Ryan's awesome internet because he's a government employee, and of course he's got good internet because he has to.
It's because of where I live. I'm lucky enough to live in the first city where Google Fiber rolled out.
Yeah, there you go. That too. But also he's government employee, so of course he has to have everything. Because he's got to he's hacking everybody right now.
The biggest thing that really needs to be highlighted, which Steven did highlight a tiny bit here, is this is the first year, and it's not. Nobody is good. I bet if we had asked a couple people, they'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll help. But because it's the first year, nobody's going to look at this thing and go, oh, I've heard about the Shelf Shock Awards. Yeah, I'd be happy to help you out with this. It's not something that the labels are heard of. It's not something that people are thinking, this thing has a great reputation. Let's do it. Yeah. It was the first year, so it was not something where people were lining up to do it live or anything crazy like that.
Yeah, and me and Ryan with our shows, we have connections. Obviously, we brought a lot of these people on and talked with them, and we got some good relationships. But doesn't mean that we're like super friends and we're always texting each other. And they're like, "I'm gonna help you out, man. I'm gonna come on." It's not. It's reality. Reality is that we're
nobody.
we're nobody. Yeah, we're a couple guys that really love physical media, and we've been lucky enough to talk to a lot of great people in the industry. But it kind of goes. Once we are done talking to them, we don't a lot of times don't talk to them a lot in between, like
or ever again.
Like it's not like we're like all buddying up all the time and we're in some big chat room together all the time, talking all the time now. Because once again, we got I'll bring it back up again. One of the bad comments I got from the same person that talked about like not getting Kino in that best annual slate. They also said that the people that did win were people that we had on our shows. And I said, that's not, I want to say to that's not fair because, why would you think that that's what we would do? We haven't shown you in any way that we would try to, make something win because we like people. I mean, it's not like anybody's winning any money. It's not like anybody's winning. I mean, it's all about just the love. And so I don't think there's any reason for us to coerce the voting to let something win because we know the people. Like if it was up to me, I would want everybody from every label to be on my show, but they're not always that easy to talk to. So,
Yeah,
You're just
there's a
gonna get
lot.
haters. You're just gonna get haters sometimes. That's how it is. I mean,
And that's the thing. Like, Terry took the words out of my mouth. It would have been really awkward if this would have gone perfectly the first year. And honestly, for the considering it was the first year, it was kind of a miracle that it ended up
I,
being what it was.
I think so too, especially with how much needed to get done in the last couple days before. If people knew how much got done in the last couple days before, oh man, it was like half the show was completed in the last couple days.
Yeah, it kind of was.
A lot of what? Yeah.
Yeah, I there's no real easy way to say this without making it sound like we're asking for pity, but the amount of work in the last week that both of us did,
Yeah.
it's shocking. And the fact that we both have families and young kids and a full-time job and we're not fired.
Full-time jobs. We're both doing our podcast that we're obsessed with, where we're like always trying to like interview people like 2 or 3 times a week or something. Yeah, we're both doing a lot of fucking things. So this was extra. This was extra on the extra, and our wives are both looking at us probably like, "You doing something else, huh?" You know, like we're getting them looks. You know, so. But I do want to say, my wife was very supportive. She watched the whole show. I came upstairs. She was on the screen where she was looking. She was watching. Like, what? Wait, you were watching this whole thing? Poor you. Poor you. Why did you do that to yourself? So,
I think it was, I can't remember if it was that night. It might have been the next morning. My oldest son said, "Congratulations on your show, Dad." I was like,
oh,
"Oh,
that's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
all right." Let's go through some more stats before we start hearing some more complaints. Community stats. So we can still see the winners up on the screen. This one was interesting. Third place on the community side for classic film was The Most Dangerous Game. It got like no votes on the creator side, but it did get up there on that side. But this is one, again, I brought it up earlier. Dr. Caligari almost got the win. It got second place on this as a write-in.
Yeah, that's see,
which is astonishing.
Yeah, that's a big release. Yeah,
it really was. Next, Everything Everywhere All at Once beat Top Gun Maverick for the best modern studio release by 10 votes. Now, that sounds like a lot, but now we're talking about the community side, and I apologize. I don't have the exact number of votes in front of me. Something I totally forgot to get. It was hundreds, though. It was not. This was not tiny. It was not massive. It was hundreds, and it won by 10 votes, which in that scale, that was pretty damn small.
No, I think our total amount of community votes was wasn't it like almost 400, or it was like in the 400 range or something?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Somewhere, yeah. So pretty decent for our first year.
Best new label on the community side. So obviously Deaf Crocodile won. Visual Vengeance had 17% of the overall vote, which for a label like that, honestly, pretty great. VHS Hitfest, or VH Shitfest, however you want to say it, they had 7% of the overall vote, which is crazy, since by the time that we voted on this, I think they only had 2 releases out, which is great. Unfortunately, we had a lot of people on this side that wrote in Air 444 and Radiance to win Best New Label. Neither one of them qualified. Neither one of them had their first release in 2022.
Yep, guys, you guys don't listen. We said it many times. Don't choose Radiance. God, how many times do we have to tell people that? I mean,
I use that as an example so many times.
So many times with our own CSC, we had to tell them, you can't vote for Radiance next year, damn it. God.
And I even had to tell people, even if you already have your contributor copy, you cannot vote for it.
Yeah.
Next one, best audio winner on the CSC side got 4th place on the community side. So best audio was The Last Waltz on the CSC side. It got 4th place on the community side. So this is one of those things. That's why we had 2 different votes, to show the vast difference.
Yeah, man. I mean, and look, I mean, even though we separated and we had a CSC and we had a community, the thing that's funny about it is we're all the same people ultimately. You know, people say you want one vote, yeah, but ultimately we are the same. We're just, people that have invested maybe a little more time in this, and when it comes to like researching and are just, as we call it, the creator selection committee. We're people that do YouTube channels, we do podcasts, or we're in the industry, that make this stuff. So that's the correlation there, and that there's just a slight, there's this vast difference in this vote where people looked at The Last Waltz and they're like, well, it's a movie about music. Obviously, the audio is amazing. We should go with that. And then the community was like, nah, not that music movie. We'll go for the, what was the winner of the community? What was the, you say again?
It is Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, the most popular movie of last year, apparently. When it came to, it's a nomination for Academy Award Best Picture. Obviously, it's one of the most popular movies from last year. It saved Hollywood, apparently, saved the movie theaters, and it wins Best Audio Presentation. So yeah, I get it. It's one of them ones that honestly probably was more impressive in the cinema, more than I would say. I don't know about home video. I haven't bought it yet, but yeah.
Next up that I had, this isn't even like a good stat or anything like that. I just found it super interesting. For the best video presentation, somebody wrote in Uncharted. I'm not putting it down. I've not seen the movie. That's the thing that's surprising to me.
Yeah.
I don't know a single person that has been like, hey, I went and saw Uncharted. It got a vote as the best video presentation. It was surprising to me. That's all I got.
I do want to highlight this comment here. Anthony, Steven telling me what to do. I'll show him. I'm going back to vote for Radiance. Go for it, man. I dare you.
Let's see. Best home video restoration upgrade. Four Flies on Gray Velvet had a lot of write-in votes.
Yeah.
Did not win, but it had a lot.
Yeah, I was rooting for that one to get get close. Because it was a fantastic release. I know that one's a tough one because also it had such a limited release. It was out near the end of the year, and it had it was there during the sale, and then some people didn't get it. It ran out, and then the sale ended. People didn't get it, and then now we got of course the standard edition coming out in the new year in this year. So it's like, some people didn't even get it, even though it was a release at the end of the year and they could have written in for it. So it was a hard situation there with that one, where maybe some people just didn't get a chance to look at it because it just was limited in what was sold. But
let's see. One thing, Dan Skip Allen is asking, why weren't Jeff with Films at Home or Ken with Mid-Level Media or Adam asked to be involved? Just curious. The way I'm going to answer this is maybe the toughest hurdle that we didn't say earlier that really was a damper on all of this, is that we set up all of this starting, I think it was September, right?
Yeah, I think right around September. Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
So in September, we start up our own email address so that we could start contacting these people and we could both have access to it. Because it was a new email address, many of the people that we were contacting, it went to their spam folder. And so we had to reach out on other places on social media. And in that case, either people weren't following us and they never saw it and went straight to their message request, or we couldn't find an email address, or they couldn't respond in time. We have a lot of people that we asked to be involved that they either straight ignored us or never got the message, which... Yeah. Not putting down any of the people that comment or any of the people that we approached. It's just the truth of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously, even if we did or we didn't contact specific people, we're not going to tell you that anyway. Right. That's not something that we should be doing, because honestly, if it was up to me, you wouldn't know any of the members anyway. But, some people decided they wanted to let people know that they were part of it. And that's up to them. And there's always going to be more opportunities to add to this. Next year, maybe some of them people, Dan, that you brought up are going to be involved. But, we only had a certain amount of time to put together a group. And because we needed to be able to get that group together, inform that group, get them kind of like up to date on what we were expecting, and then get the voting, get their submission forms together. It was a lot to do in a very small amount of time. There was a lot of people that we approached that they said yes, and then we never heard from again. Never heard from, people that were excited to be involved. Yep. That I got one answer from them. They were excited to be involved, sent them information, never heard back from them again. Yep. And that's probably because maybe they got really busy, or it went to spam. Or it went to spam. Like, email should be the best way for us to divulge a bunch of information to a bunch of people at once. But unfortunately, it seems that maybe that's not the truth. Maybe we're going to go with a different way to connect with our CSC next year. There's a lot of great apps that can be used, and maybe that's what we're gonna try to do to improve that communication for next year. But yeah, I mean, look, we can't tell you, who we did and who we didn't contact, but just know that we're doing our best to, like I've said this whole stream, diversify, get as many people involved, because we want as big of a CSC as we can get. It's just not easy to do that in 1 year. So,
this next one is crazy. So, best visual essay. This one, or wait, am I skipping one? I'm sorry. Let me go back to look at this. Was it essay? Yes. So, best visual essay. Out of the blue won this one. On the community side, again, hundreds of votes. Out of the blue won best visual essay by 2 votes. 2 freaking votes. Absolutely astonishing that this one was that close.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I don't think people. I think people thought that these votes were probably a lot more like crazy. Like that there was like all the winners were like runaway winners, dude.
Right.
Almost all of these were like super close.
It was a great year.
It's great. Yeah. That means that people watched a lot of things and they loved a lot of different things, and that's what we want. So, and that's why we're doing this, so that you can know that it wasn't just runaway winners just because there were some things that won a lot of things, and that, that people really loved. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. It won a lot of stuff. But that's every award show. There's, this year at the Oscars, Everything Everywhere All at Once is fucking favorite to win a lot of things.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah. And it's probably annoying people a lot. They're like, Jesus Christ, this movie. But that's a great movie. Like, let it have its moment. It's okay.
Best annual slate on the community side, Severin and Arrow, I believe, were a full-on tie for second place. If it wasn't an exact tie, it was within just an absolute couple of votes. It was very, very close.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of surprised Arrow got a lot of votes for last year, because a lot of people seem to verbally complain about what Arrow did last year.
Yeah, I agree with you. I am. I mean, honestly, if I'm being upfront, I'm surprised it was in our nominees, but that's what got submitted. And personally, I would have picked a Kino, or I would have picked an Indicator, or I would have picked somebody Criterion. Criterion was in there, I believe.
In the list, yes.
Yeah, and in the nominee list. I'm thinking that I'm surprised they just got into the nominee list, honestly. So.
Next one, best horror film release. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 won handily. This one was not even close. However, some people might be interested to know the second place for the community for best horror release of the entire year was The Wicker Man from Imprint. Absolutely shocked that got second place with a lot of the other stuff that came out.
Yeah, guys. I mean, it's. This is great. This is great to hear that all these were so close. And Wicker Man was one that I think people really got excited about when it got, just like kind of the Warriors. The Warriors got announced, and then this got announced, I think, not too long before or after. Once again, Imprint was another one. Didn't get annual slate nominee. That's another one I would have replaced Arrow with. Sorry, Arrow. I love you guys, but
speaking of Imprint, next up to talk about would be best box set. And this one is crazy, not really because of the numbers of stuff that got voted, but primarily because of the diversity in the write-ins. So if you were to go in and count up all of the write-ins, there is a huge number of things that got votes. And I'm going to pull up the list on the community side and just read some of these real quick, because it's crazy how many things were listed here. So the nominees for this one was the After Dark Neo-Noir Cinema from Imprint, House of Psychotic Women, Shawscope Volume 2, Columbia Classics 3, Ray Dennis Steckler, and then, of course, there was Other, which, listen to all of these. We got the Paranormal Activity box set from the studio, Kino Lorber's Cinema's First Nasty Women, the Sony 30th anniversary Sony Pictures Classics, Universal Noir #1 from Indicator, Gothic Fantastico from Arrow, Tiger Cage Trilogy from 88 Films, the Jim Sheridan box set from Imprint, the Doris Wishman box set #1 from AGFA, Homegrown Horrors Volume 2, Children of the Corn Trilogy, Columbia Noir number 5. Was Children of the Corn 2022? Anyways, I don't think that one was eligible, but
there is some confusion, I think, from a lot of people that they were nominating standard edition over limited edition. You know, the initial that was another problem we had, that people would think something was a 2022 release because it did get a release of that film in the year, but it was the second edition of that release. So there were some borderline ones that didn't really make the qualification. So
either way, that was the surprising thing, that so many things got votes in this category. Best box set was kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Best artwork. So this is another one that was close for a lot of people, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 beat Cloak and Dagger by 7 votes. This was another very, very close vote.
Yeah, it's another one where you know, it's about taste. You know, everybody's looking for a specific thing. You know, certain labels, you know, they of course do more original art than other labels do. You know, you know, you're thinking about like Criterion does a lot of original artwork. You got, you know, Vinegar Syndrome does a lot of, you know, but some of these labels, they just kind of they use the original artwork from when it first came out, and then you got these what we were looking for, which was newly commissioned artwork. So yeah, it's, you know, this is kind of a category where certain labels have the advantage. So yeah.
Next one, favorite Region A label. You'll notice on the list on the screen that for the CSC side, we didn't even have them vote. We didn't care about the creators having a favorite.
Yeah.
Was not to be considered. We didn't want there to be any bias, so we didn't even ask them. But the community. So Vinegar Syndrome, they ran away with this. It was not even remotely close. Not surprised at all there. However, again, a lot of diversity in what was written in on this one. And the notes I took for this, I had Vinegar Syndrome was light years over anyone else, but lots of love for Kino Lorber, Arrow, a whole bunch of partner labels from AGFA, Canadian International, VHS Hitfest, Culture Shock got 1 or 2, Criterion got a whole lot of love, and for best Region A label, somebody said The Godfather.
Wow, they're starting their own label. Wow, that's weird. He's really taking that whole Godfather thing seriously. He wants to just be in charge of everything, right?
Yep, they're leaving all the cannolis at the door.
Yeah.
Let's see, a couple more notes before we finish up the stat side of this. So favorite Region B label, it was fairly even across the board. It was not any that was a runaway hit, which kind of surprising for Region B, but
yeah.
Favorite best Region B release, The Warriors got second place for that one, which place to Drive, honestly kind of surprising for The Warriors. Pretty big deal.
Yeah, I mean, especially when there's tons of great, you know, kind of 4K, you know, something that got a, you know, maybe a 4K release, you know, that did really well. I mean, even some of these that won other categories like The Witch, or, you know, from Second Sight, or, you know, just there's just tons of things where I'm surprised that got as far as it did. But I think it really comes down to the community wanting to. They're trying to be diverse. You know, they're trying, you know, if I'm a single person, I'm trying to pick different types of titles and not just all the same thing on every category. And I think that's what we got a lot of, was people trying to award as many different releases as possible, which is a good mindset, I think. So
completely agree there. I've got 2 more notes. I'm going to go out of order here because one is a little more exciting than the other. The best overall release, the order, because I had a lot of people ask these. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 won. Second place, Shawscope. Drive 4K third. And fourth place was After Dark Neo Noir Volume 1, which, considering what was voted on the creator side, I could see that being a little surprising for some people.
Yeah. We could go all night and talk about how weird it was. Some of these votes are, but it's interesting stuff. They don't even see the pie charts that you're looking at. The pie charts, you're loving it. You're just like, I love pie charts.
So the one that I love the most, this is the pinnacle of the entire night for me. So best Region A release on the community side. First place was Thriller. Sorry. Second place was Shawscope Volume 2. Third place was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Now, the reason this is crazy, first to third place was only 5 votes, with second place in the middle there.
Yeah.
5 people voting determined the best Region A release from those 3. That's great. So close.
Yeah. It's the stuff the Academy doesn't share with you guys.
Never.
But Shelf Shock does. Take that for what you will. But we're being transparent here, and I think this makes it even awesomer that, these were so close. Yeah, I mean, it could have just went any way. We could have had, a few different releases, and thank God they didn't tie, We had a couple, but we didn't. I'm glad it wasn't some of these big ones.
So let's go on to that. A couple ties. There was a couple that on the creator side that were literally neck and neck because people had some very off the wall things that they were voting for in the write-ins. So it left some of these very close. And for the most part, it was there was a reason that the tie went to one of them. And usually it was for diversity. It was something where one of them was getting voted for 5 different times, and we wanted something else on the list. I can't remember. I think one of these, I think Shawscope might have been one of them.
I think one of them was the imprint box set for one of them, I believe too, where it was like we could have nominated another Severin title or something like that, but then we were like, let's do the imprint because imprint hasn't gotten a lot of love tonight. So let's, because there was a tie. We had to break the tie somehow. And so,
speaking of imprint, there's Mr. Tony Mikas himself.
Yeah,
so it was just a really interesting way to see everything behind the scenes. And the fact that we had such a diverse list at the end made both of us very, very happy.
Most definitely. And there's always room for more. There's always room for more. And if we add more categories or we figure out a way to, if we decide we want to have more nominees, we'll see, but yeah, I think for the first year, this probably couldn't have went much better. I mean, I don't know. I think overall, I think the experience was fun. And getting into that a little bit, I know one of the questions was, after the show, what did the community, how did people reach out to us? What did they say? I think some of you probably seen some of this stuff we posted. But yeah, Ryan, I mean, what was your experience after?
I'm going to share some words from some of the people. Kayla Janice said the following day, right after, said, I just found out I won the first Sergio Mims Memorial Award for significant contribution to film criticism from the Shelf Shock Rewind Awards. I was trying to collaborate with Sergio at the time of his passing, so this is a great honor, and I just love that they named an award after him. You can see there a full award show here, and she listed it for everybody that wanted to see it. Kat Ellinger posted, holy wow, I just found out I won an award for Best Commentary for Out of the Blue at the Shelf Shock Awards, and I also got both the community and the creators vote. Honestly, I'm stunned. I originally did the commentary for BFI, and then Kayla made sure it went on the Severin release, and it won for the Severin release, obviously. There are some great people and some great releases nominated and winners for these awards, but I don't want to spoil the surprise for those who don't know yet. The link for the awards is in the comments. And then she went on to say, was very touched to see the Sergio Mims Memorial Award and Howard's very touching tribute to one of the best humans who ever was. Even more incredible to see who won that award for significant contribution, because about bloody time, I'm not sure she knows yet, so I don't want to spoil any surprises for her. Amanda Reyes posted, I was thrilled to wake up this morning to see that Chris O'Neill and myself won Best Visual Essay at the Shelf Shock Awards. This was for our essay for Out of the Blue. We won in both the community and selection committee categories. Chris O'Neill also posted about it. Andrew Furtado from, of course, Severin Films said, huge shout out to Disconnected and Chasing Labels for pulling off a massive 3-hour live stream award show celebrating all things physical media. Severin Films' release of Out of the Blue swept a few big categories, and even my love Steckler won something. So show Shelf Shock some love. And then there was a couple other smaller ones, but the biggest thing that we kind of have to talk about, the following day, I got a message from Justin LaLiberty at Vinegar Syndrome asking if he could see specifically the winners from the night prior. And I sent in a picture to Mr. LaLiberty. And within about an hour and a half, which I did not know this was happening, we all seemed to get an email that said, "Congratulations to partner labels Canadian International Pictures and Deaf Crocodile for winning Best New Labels at the Shelf Shock Rewind Awards last night. To celebrate, their first Blu-ray releases, The Ernie Game and The Unknown Man of Shandigor, are on sale for 50% off the MSRP for the next 24 hours." I mean, how cool was that for you?
That was the cool, maybe one of the coolest things that I mean, other, I could have not expected them to do something. I mean, I was hoping that we were going to get some people to say some nice things, and that was great. But for them to create a nice 24-hour sale in celebration of one of our winners in one of our categories, yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. That was a nice little sign of respect for us, and that we very much appreciate that love back, So yeah, that was to see that in the email that everybody gets, just knowing that went to everybody, and that means a lot for us in this show, moving forward. That a label like Vinegar Syndrome, took the time to recognize us, and along with all these other people that Ryan's been talking about, they took the time to post about us and take it seriously and be sincere about it. And that's, I think they do that because they that this profession doesn't allow for them to get recognized a lot.
Right.
And that's why this is important. This is not just about being able to see who wins physical media awards and things, but we're recognizing these people behind it. And it's important that I talked to Kat Ellinger, not too long after that, and she just really was just taken back by it. She really was. She really loved that people loved what she had done on that release and that commentary, and it just made her really happy. It's good that we're doing that for people. So
it was a very validating thing for the show specifically. That's what I wanted to say, and I think the obvious question that's going to come from that, Steven, is there going to be a year 2?
Nah, just one's good. I know I've been teasing it and saying, yeah, next year we can do it better, but just one's fine, right? Just that one hit wonder thing. Like years from now, they're like, they did the one, and it's
they all had enough, right?
Everybody watches that one show over and over and over again, and yeah, that's enough. That's enough. No, I very much intend for there to be a year 2. I think me and Ryan kind of I think we're both on the same page that we want to do that. But the other thing that we both know is that we're basically got to start working on it now if we want to maybe accomplish what we really want to accomplish for next year's thing. So yeah, in the meantime, me and Ryan, when we're done with this, we'll probably soon be starting our discussions about what is our first steps into year 2 of Shelf Shock Rewind.
And that being said, we will be posting a lot more from the Shelf Shock stuff throughout the year, highlighting some of the releases, doing what we can to keep them in people's mind. If you want, make sure that you are taking notes throughout the year, things that you are recognizing are good, that you're going to want to remember to vote for, things that you are highlighting. But maybe the most important thing about this is right now, you have the ability to give feedback. So as you've watched all of this, give us some comments right now. What are some ideas that you think could have made this run better? What are some things, other than what we've talked about tonight, that I've already written down a couple things? What are some things that you think are sticking points that were kind of rough? Because obviously, while looking at all this, there's a lot that is within our control, but there's also a lot that we really could not control a whole lot of.
Yeah.
If we can start getting people recruited and getting a list going now, then some of those things will be a little easier. Maybe our email won't be seen as spam this early in the year.
Yeah. That was a big hurdle. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be things that just right. Yeah. Radiance next year. Started the notes. Good job, Aaron.
Stan says next year should include vinyl. I guess we have to do 2 award shows now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't even keep up with music that much lately.
Stan says we have to have tuxedos next year.
Dude, I'll just put a bow tie on. You won't know the difference. Um,
Tony says it's my turn to do the package ad with my wife and kids. That's easy.
well,
My kids want to do everything.
well, look, that's I had ideas to do a few more things. We just didn't have time. I literally that ad that ad literally was shot in like an hour. It was made in an hour. Like, so if I was a little bit more ambitious, I could have made a few more. But it would be awesome. Yeah, we should get maybe more people involved in. Maybe we can do our own Super Bowl commercial line of all different types of commercials from all different types of people, sending them in. We filter them out through the show, and we get we get tons of people involved. There's a lot of talented people in the community that could probably make some really nice, commercials that involve physical media, and that would be cool.
Daniel says perhaps genres. Didn't we have genres?
We had a few. We had horror, we had martial arts,
classic films, comedies.
Classic, yeah, we had genres in there. I mean, if we get a little, if we go too crazy, look, I did it. I did the song and dance. I mean, I didn't. I did this. That's the
that was the extent of it.
I mean, I'm sitting down. What do you want from me? I don't got a cameraman.
Honestly, Daniel, for those that can't see it at the moment, he says, imagine if labels started announcing new upcoming titles during commercial breaks. We kind of kicked the idea of this around, of saying, like, can we reach out to some labels to have them make their own commercials? And now that we have a year to plan this, that's kind of more of a realistic thing.
Yeah, now that they've seen what we are trying to accomplish, maybe, and some of them have acknowledged us. Maybe we can get more involvement from the labels in the overall show next year. And
exactly.
Of course, this will help with our presenters as well. We can get some more, expand on the presenters and maybe get a new crop and yeah, it could be really interesting just on that level.
Anything else from people?
Come on, people, hit us. No question's a bad question. Just.
So I will say, since we're waiting on some more comments, that this was extremely stressful, but I don't regret a single moment of this. This was one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, it was one of them. For me, I know you do a lot of live show. You do live show every week. So for me, though I don't consider myself shy doing live things because I've been in bands, it's not necessarily an issue when it comes to, I don't mind audiences, but there's something about doing live for an audience you can't see that's a little different, and the fact that I was in this, like, kind of, my setup wasn't necessarily very mobile. So I was kind of stuck in one place for the whole 3 hours. And it was starting to, my leg was starting to hurt. Couldn't get up. That was where my stress was like my body started to be like, Steven, it doesn't like your position. Ryan decided to stand up. I was like, sitting down's better. I don't know. Standing up might have been better. I don't know. But yeah.
Sibner says, clips from the releases, would they stop you midstream? The hard part is if we were only showing the video, I think we would maybe be okay, because we could edit it a little bit to make it like not fill the whole screen and cover some things and whatnot to not have the algorithm do it. If we did audio, it would likely get flagged immediately.
Yeah, we already had some issues with that with the show we just did, and we used music that we thought would be fine, but they still got flagged. So
I did get it all cleared eventually, but
it's
a pain.
It is, but it's one of them things that's tough, and probably what we'll do for next year is try to make sure we use music that we just create ourselves. Well, it'll be probably original music where we won't have that issue at all. So.
I like this. Blake says, I do like that there's a legacy award from someone in the community for making physical media, but I think there could be an award of merit for the YouTube or podcast side of things.
Yeah.
Fun.
I think that would be nice. Especially since we decided to have a committee about the creators, and that does include the people that talk about it, not just the people that make it, the physical media. So yeah, I mean, that would be a nice gesture, I think, for people in the community. Of course, me and Ryan can't win it because we do this award show. Of course we would win. No, I'm just kidding. But no, that's a great gesture. I love that. yeah, maybe that's something we'll do. Yeah,
Aaron wants you to include your Barnes and Noble sale song next time.
I'll sing it for you right now. I'll do it. That's one I can do live for sure. I don't even have to pre-record it. I'll be like off to the next stage, and then I'll just move the camera, and I'll have my guitar over here, and I'll be like, the Criterion Bonds, and I'll do the whole thing. Yeah.
I gotta admit, it would have been really impressive if we like went to a clip of somebody presenting, and then the next time it showed up, it was just all lights off and you just standing with a different camera
and then
angle.
A spotlight hits me, and I'm
like,
yeah. We don't have a crew or anything, so it would have been impressive if something like that happened.
Best sale. That's an interesting one. I don't think we talked about best sale.
Now, Kino literally has a sale every couple months or something. So, I mean,
and there's our 850 plus titles. That's hard to argue with.
It's hard to beat, I mean, there might have been a time where it said the 4 for 44 from Warner Archive was the best, but that's essentially gone. Other than that, I mean, Vinegar Syndrome, they're going to win. They have their, the Severin and Vinegar Syndrome battle it out at the same times. So being that they're very popular labels, they probably win that one.
I don't see how anything could even argue with Kino. I think Kino is easy.
I mean, it is, but then again, it didn't get nominated for annual slate.
Yep.
So, but yeah.
That'd be hard to quantify too. Best sale. Which Kino sale was it? The
winter sale, or the they have literally like 5 different sales a year, so it's like,
or the Arrow sale that's happening every week right now. I think there's been 4 or 5 Arrow sales back to back.
Yeah.
You want people to watch. If Steven's saying people would tune out instantly. Dan is your biggest fan.
Next time you try to call me, don't. Okay, just don't call me.
Daniel says best physical media website. I feel like 3 years ago the winner would have been not Severin, but they're so much better now.
Yeah, some of these are fun ideas to have conversations with friends, but I don't know that it's necessarily worth doing an award for. There was one that Ryan kicked to me, which was best outlet, best place that sells physical media in the and that's another one. Yeah, that's another good one. But ultimately, these are places that we really love. We depend on them, and I don't want to make anybody feel like that they're not appreciated in that space. Yeah. So anybody that wants to help us, we would love to sponsor as many of them places as possible on the Shelf Shock Rewind Awards. So if anybody else wants to get involved in any way next year, please reach out to us to be to just help sponsor the show, so we can show you some love during the show. And that that's what the 3 outlets did for us in this in Cauldron Films, and they were gracious enough to give us some giveaway stuff, and we would have shouted them out anyway, but they went an extra mile and gave us tons of things to give to you guys, and that was awesome. So,
anything else from everybody? Any other questions about how it went down? Questions about presentations, stats, anything else? Eric, who won the Sony Pictures Classics box set, says, great prizes, definitely a draw for watching it live.
Yeah, we knew you'd like that. But no, I mean, I think that, that's part of the celebration. We loved that the prizes we were able to give away were, some of them were Blu-rays, some of them were things that, there were actual physical media releases too. Of course, money's great, but, but yeah, I like that we were able to give out actual Blu-rays. That's fun. So.
All right, everybody. Seems like everything is slowing down. This is great. If you have any more ideas as the year goes on, anything that you can do to, throw something to us where you might want to help or have something that you could contribute, we are always all about that. And you can email us at shelfshockrewind@gmail.com.
Yes, and please don't be shy. I mean, we this is a group effort. We want to make this easier on ourselves, definitely, for this year. And if somebody really feels like that they can contribute, and you see what we did this year, if you feel like you can build on that, and help us make it a better show, please contact us, please.
Trauma wants to know if there's going to be a Blu-ray release of the show and what kind of extras they can expect. If you want to help sign that, by all means, you can reach out to our lawyers.
Yes, please. And whatever label wants to put that release out, talk to our lawyers. Yeah.
You can reach mine at ican'taffordone@gmail.com.
And you can reach mine at, please, I can't afford one. And I will sue your ass if you try to take our... No, I'm just kidding. I don't have a lawyer.
That's a long email address.
I know, right? I hate typing it in. I keep it in my phone.
You reach out to him so often.
I keep it on my phone already in like my notes so that I can just copy it and then move it over. Yeah.
All right, my guys and gals, this has been incredible. I appreciate everybody. I can't wait to see what we can do next year and the amount of personalities that might be involved. Like I said, if you ever want to talk or have an idea, reach out. We're here to listen. Till next time, we'll see you then.